blank wall, all right, in front of everyone. And everyone is lined up together as prisoners. They are chained to the floor. They're stuck there, and there's about 1 million of them, okay? And their necks are shackled so they can't move and look behind them. Behind them is a great fire. And there are certain people, we don't know who they are. It's just like they, okay? Plato just uses the word they to describe them. And what they do is they take shadows and project the shadows onto the wall. And the people, the prisoners, don't know any better, so they think these shadows, who are just random shapes, it's reality itself, okay? It's like you live in 3 dimensions, but you see two dimensions, and so you think only 2 dimensions exist. And so they give names to these 2-dimensional shapes, they give it language, they create a world around these things, okay? This becomes reality itself. All right. Okay. So the thing to know about this is that what wealth is consciousness. All right? And this is what Hermetic philosophy teaches us, which is like everything is just consciousness. The imagination is the animating force of the universe, okay? Remember this idea. The imagination, our mind, are what gives life to the universe. The second thing is that power is the ability to direct consciousness. All right? Which is just, so the example, of course, is money. All right? So money is not real. Money is something that we just made up, but we believe it's real. And those who can make us believe money is real are the ones who have the real power. Okay? So does it make sense? All right. So what we do now is I'm explaining to you how Plato's Allegory of the Cave explains the world that we live in. Okay? So there are 2 competing forces, 2 competing power centers. There'll be money and AI, artificial intelligence. Okay? Money and AI. Okay? All right. So let's look at money. All right, the banks. So in theory, how this works is depositors, you guys, you save enough money, and then you put your money in the bank, like $1 million, okay? Then what the bank does is take this $1 million and to create wealth in society, gives it to entrepreneurs, loans it to entrepreneurs to create value in society, okay? Entrepreneurships. And so in theory, the bank should have 0, okay? Because what it's done is it's taken your hard-earned money and given it to entrepreneurs to create more value, to give you jobs, okay? And this is what we believe how society works. There's a problem with this. The problem is that if you look at the bank balance sheet, when it does this, when it takes $1 million and lends out $2 million, it doesn't have 0, it has $2 million. So the great secret of our world is that banks have the power to print as much money as they want. So money, if you think about it, is actually valueless, okay? But it's like lead. But in our world, it becomes gold. So this is a secret of alchemy. How are banks able to trick you into believing that lead is gold? By using your imagination. By focusing your imagination in a world that animates the world, okay? So this is about imagination. And this is the world that we live in. All right? The thing that makes money valuable, and the only thing that makes it valuable is the idea of omnipresence. It's everywhere. Okay? So let's just say I convince all you guys that US dollars are worth nothing. And you're like, yes, I agree. You go to America and you want to buy something, you're like, so you buy a snack and the guy's like, okay, $5. And you're like, yeah, but this money is worthless. And he's like, screw you, man. Where's my $5? Okay, do you understand? It doesn't matter what you believe. The money is valuable because it's everywhere and everything, okay? It is God. So we created a society in which money is God because money is everywhere, and God is everywhere. Okay? All right. So the problem with money, though, is that if you can create out of thin air, you must constantly destroy it as well. Does it make sense to you guys? The banks can create money out of thin air, and the banks have to figure out ways to destroy money as well. Otherwise, you have too much money and no one's going to work, right? The point of money is to get people to work, and that means scarcity. And so the way you do that is by creating a there are two ways, okay? The first is financial collapse. Okay, basically a recession or depression. The point of this is just to remove money from the system, okay? It's wealth destruction because you've printed too much money. So you need to destroy this money. Second way, of course, is for wars. And this helps us explain why things are happening the way they are. Because these past 10, 20 years, the Americans printed too much money, and now they need to create wars and to destroy this money so that the global economy can continue, okay? The problem with this is that it makes people question the authority and the legitimacy of the elite. And because of elite overproduction, this gives a possibility for a new elite to arise, and this new elite is AI, okay? So remember that money is alchemy in that it's turning lead into gold. Well, guess what, guys? AI is also alchemy in that it's turning lead into gold, okay? Let me show you how. Okay, so I'm gonna put this in very simple terms. But when you use AI, what you're trying to do is, you have a database, you have lots of information in this database, and you're trying to search and sort this database, okay? There's information in this database, you're trying to organize this information in a way that is useful, and you're trying to search information from this database that you need at this moment, okay? So think of like Google search, right? Google has all the information in the world, it's a database. Google organizes it, sorts it, and then what you do is you search for it, okay? So Google is just a database. All right. The problem with the database is eventually you reach a point where there's just too much information and you don't really know how to search and sort it properly. So what you do is you train the computer to do it for you. Okay, how? So let's for example, use facial recognition technology. Let's just say you have like 1 billion faces. Now what you're trying to do is you're trying to differentiate these 1 billion faces, and you're trying to match it to the proper name, okay? You have a face database, you have a name database, and you're trying to align the two together, okay? You don't know how to do it, but so what you do is you train the computer to do it for you. And so what you do is you create a system of weights, just 1 million variables, okay? Variables. And then the input, okay? The input are just the databases, right? And then the output is yes or no. Does it match or doesn't it match, okay? Depending on the output, this information is fed back into the database and the weights, okay? And so what the computer is doing is it's changing the weights in a certain way that allows for all these 1 billion faces to match up with their names, right? And we call this back propagation. And that's how AI works. And that's all it does, okay? Is it possible for us to advance beyond this? The answer is no. I don't care what you tell me, okay? I've done a lot of research into the AI. There's absolutely nothing more we can do than back propagation. What we do now is we now give it names to make it sound very fancy, okay? So the weights is now called a neural network. Okay? The back propagation is called deep learning. And this together is called AI. Okay? That's it. Okay? This is all hallucination. It's just clever marketing. That's all it is. We will never get beyond this. Okay? And this is what allows for large language models. Okay, so you have a similar situation in that money is just being printed out of thin air, and you have a similar situation where AI doesn't actually do anything. Okay? So how you solve this problem is twofold. The first thing you do is you create omniscience. Okay? What does this mean? It means the way to solve the money problem is by making money everywhere, right? Well, the way to solve the AI problem is having AI know everything. That means combining every single database in the world into one major database. Does it make sense? Okay? That's the idea, where you're born, the hospital, your health records, it's all in one database. You go to school, what are you doing in school? What did your teacher say about you? It's all in the same database. When you grow up, what job you do, what you buy, it's all in one database. Your police record, one database. Your health records, one database. Okay? Your browsing history, one database. And then I have omniscience on you. Okay? Then it gives the illusion of AI, of God, because he knows everything about you. Okay? And then the second thing it does is it becomes a religion. Okay? For AI to be fully AI, it needs to turn itself into a religion where everyone is worshiping it. And the way you do that is by making people believe that this thing is alive, because demons have been summoned into it. Because Jesus is resurrecting itself through AI. You understand? Okay? You want to trick people to believe that behind all this electricity, behind all these semiconductors, it's an interdimensional portal for demons, for Jesus to come alive in. Once people believe that, then the imagination takes effect, and the imagination will then animate the AI. Okay? That's the trick. Once they achieve these two things, omniscience and religion, then AI will be achieved in this world. Okay? So what's happening today is a civil war, okay, in the world, where right now money, which is controlled by transnational capital, is God. They're trying to create a new God called AI, okay? An AI God, okay? So there are three forces opposed to transnational capital. They are nationalism, religion, and AI, okay? And altogether, they're trying to create an AI God in order to replace money. Okay, so I was talking to my wife about this idea, and one question she asked for me is, what's the conflict here? What's the problem? Why is there war? Why can't transnational capital just become the AI God? And the answer is because these are two fundamentally different systems. Okay, think like this. I'm going to put this in very simple terms, but think of transnational capital as capitalism, okay, free market capitalism. And what is AI God? It's Techno-Marxism. Okay. The difference is this. The difference is that with money, everyone still has a lot of freedom, okay, to generate as much money as possible, but there's still freedom in place. Whereas with a techno-Marxist system, you have an elite who control the God, AI God, who then control all your attention, okay? It's basically techno-slavery. So imagine a computer chip implanted into your brain that tells you everything, okay? You don't have to think anymore. You just have to listen to this microchip. Tells you, hey, you should get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. When you get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, go run for half an hour. And you fall in love with the system because you don't have to think anymore. There's this microchip who you think is actually the voice of God. It's an angel, it's a demon, but it's all coming from God, okay? And this microchip this AI system is helping you live the best possible life. You're now more healthy. You're now more hardworking. You're more successful. You find happiness in your life, okay? So this is where the world is going. And underneath everything that we